Hey there, CJ Math students, and welcome to Notes 2.21, Part 3. I know it's been a long set of notes, but these are really kind of complicated problems with a whole bunch of steps, but we know how to solve them. So let's look at number 8. So rewriting the expression as only multiplication and evaluate. So every time we see division, what we're going to want to do, we're going to want to flip it and change it to multiplication. So first of all, we've got 1. So first of all, let's write that as fraction. 1 over 1. Now I see division times... When I divide fractions, I want to flip that fraction. So times 3 over 2 times, we have a negative 8, so let's put it as a fraction, negative 8 over 1, times, we have a 3, so let's put that as a fraction, 3 over 1. And then, again, I see division, so let's flip it and change it to multiplication. So I'll say times negative 2 over 1. Again, because I'm aware of negatives, I'm going to count. I have 1, 2 negatives. So therefore, an even amount of negatives, my answer will be positive. And then I'm going to look to cross cancel before I do any multiplication. I can see right here the 2 and the 8 can cross cancel. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And now let's start multiplying straight across. 1 times 3 is 3. So then take that 3, multiply it by 4. That's 12. Right, I'll put a little 12 there. 12 times 3, that's 36. Just trying to keep track. And 36 times 2, that's tough, but you can do that multiplication. That is 72, right? So equals 72 over, and look, all you have on the bottom, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 over 1. So all that wonderful work gives us a positive 72. All right, number 9. Again, you might be freaked out because you see decimals, because you see division, but you can do this. Again, ask yourself, 0.2, what is that? Hopefully you remember it's fifths, but if not, you're like 2. That's in the 10th spot. Well, 2 over 10. Let's simplify that. Oh, look what it turns into, 1/5. So you have negative 2 and 1/5 times, let's put that negative 2 as negative 2 over 1. And I see division, so what do? We flip it, change it to multiplication. So times negative 4 over 1. And then I'll say times 5 over 1. Again, I got to be aware of my negatives. I have 1, 2, 3 negatives, so that means my answer will be negative. So let's put a negative in my answer, and now just simply ignore the negative signs, right? Before I go to work on this, I have a mixed number. What do I have to do when I multiply mixed numbers? Got to change it to an improper fraction. So 2 times 5 is 10, so that gives us 11 over 5. And now I should be able to go to work. 2 over 1 times 4 over 1 times 5 over 1. Notice I don't care about my negatives anymore because I've already put a negative in my answer. So is there anything to cross cancel? It doesn't look like there is, but we can use the commutative property of multiplication just like we used to with addition to reorganize this so that we could cross cancel something. And I'm suggesting that we get this 11/5 and this 5 over 1 next to each other. 11/5 times 5 over 1 times 2 over 1 times 4 over 1. And now look, we can cross cancel our 5s. That becomes a 1. This becomes a 1. And now I can just multiply straight across. So 11 times 1 is 11. And then 11 times 2 is 22. So I'll just keep track of it up there. And then 22 times 4, I can do that math. 22 times 4, oh, that's 88. So I get 88 over, and then 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, right? It's just 1. But my answer is negative 88. And look, I love how I put that in the answer spot right off the bat, because I didn't have to worry about it in the end, right? When I think about it right at the beginning, if my answer will be positive or negative, and put that down, then I'll never have to make sure that I don't lose track of it. So basically for these problems, what I want you to do is just practice cross-canceling and finding products and quotients. So for instance, number 1, there's no cross-canceling involved. It's simply straight across, and we get, is it positive or negative? Different signs negative because there's only one negative. So I get 5 over 6, and it's negative 5 over 6. It doesn't matter whether you put the negative up top of the 5 or down below with the 6. Number 3, can I cross-cancel anything? Nope. So multiply straight across. Again, different signs negative, so I get negative 2 over 15. For number 5, can I cross-cancel anything? Doesn't look like it, right? But if I move stuff around a little bit using the commutative property of multiplication, let's put this 5 over 3 right here, times 1/4 times 1/3. Now I can say, see you later to these two 3's. That becomes a 1, this becomes a 1, and now I can multiply straight across, right? So 1 times 5 is 5, times 1, that's just 5, right? 2 times 1 is 2, times 4 is 8, right? You can keep track. And then 8 times 3 is 24. Now, gotta be aware of my negatives. I had 1, I had 2, I had 3, so my answer has got to be negative 5 over 24. Right? And then in a problem like number 7, what do I have to do first? Gotta change this guy to an improper fraction. So 1 times 2, that becomes 3 over 2 times 3 over 2 times 3 over 4 times 3 over 2, right? Ask yourself, is there anything to cross cancel? Doesn't look like it, and even if I move stuff around, it doesn't look like there's anything I can cross cancel. So when I multiply straight across, basically I have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Careful, that's not going to be 12, because I know some of you right now are doing, 3, 6, 9, 12. No, you're going to actually multiply. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. And then 27 times 3 is, carry the 2, 81. So you have 81 over 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And 16 times 2 is, if you do the math, is, oops, 1 second. And 16 times 2 is 2, carry the 1, 32, right? So I am okay you leaving it 81 over 32 right now. I only had one negative, so my answer is negative, right? For right now, if you want to practice this, you can do 2, 4, 6, 8. I know that's a lot of work, so let's kind of move on down just to practice division real quick so you feel comfortable on your homework. So remember with division, gotta flip the second fraction. Notice I have 2 negatives, so my answer will be positive, and it's just 5 over 3 times 2 over 3. Notice, remember, we flipped before we looked to cross cancel. I know you're probably really eager to cross out those 3's, but you got to flip first. And then when I multiply straight across, I get 10 over 9, or 1 and 1/9, because 9 goes into 10 one time with 1 left over. And my answer is positive. Why? Because I had 2 negatives. So for number 11, remember, mixed number, gotta change it to an improper fraction first. So that's negative 1 over 2, let's say still divided by, because I want to show you guys actually flipping it, 6 over 5. And now let's remember to flip the second fraction. And I have negative 1 over 2, oops, sorry, I'll change back to the color here. Negative 1 over 2 times 5 over 6. And now I can multiply straight across, giving you 5 over 12. I don't have to worry about my negatives, even though I carried it all the way here, but forgot about it here, because there's 2 of them. So my answer is going to be positive. Right, again, you can practice this division on 10 and 12. Lots of notes today. I apologize for it, but these are all skills that you guys have and can do. That's the end of part 3.